Welcome back to another episode of the Distil-Nation NZ podcast. My name's Tom, and this is my co-host Cameron. And I'm joined today by Lesley and Adam from Longshot Distillery. They're the creators of Racketeer Gin here in nearby in Rolleston.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming out, guys.
Cool. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, I'm really excited to because you've brought some really fun stuff. I've got obviously these are your standard ones, right?
Yeah.
So we've enjoyed that, and I'm excited to see what else there is.
So we went to the. I always forget, and I always ask you every time, the name of that festival at the Christchurch Arena.
Oh, the Midwinter.
The Midwinter Sessions.
Yeah.
And you had the table next to us.
We did.
Well, that's where we actually met you guys in person.
Yeah.
And that was quite fun.
And that was, every time I looked over at your table, one, you always seemed to be busy. People were loving what you were doing. But despite the fact you were always run off your feet, you looked like you were having the best time.
We were.
Actually, I've always said that. It's like, even though no matter what we're doing, we're always like, even if we're up late at like midnight doing something or whatever, getting ready for a festival, I always say to members, like, no matter how tired I am or how much work we're doing, I don't care. Like, it's not like it doesn't feel like you're at a job.
No, not at all.
Because if you were doing it for a job, you'd be all tired and you'd be like, why am I here at midnight? I should be at home. But when we're doing it, I'm like, it doesn't matter.
It's good
We're
fun.
like, it's all good. And when we're at these festivals, it's
genuinely the thing that fills my cup, and that sounds really cringy, but it's true. It's the thing that gives me joy. And going to the events, meeting people, telling them the story. We can tell that story a million times during an event, and it's just as good the millionth time you say it to the first time you say it.
It's so funny that day,
because people want to hear it, right? And that's the thing, I think, is that there's genuine interest there. People ask you lots of questions, but the main question is, what's your backstory? What brought you to this?
So what is your backstory?
Yeah, there we go.
The start at the very beginning. So back in 2019, Christmas 2019, my husband Matt bought me a gin immersion class for Christmas present, and it was run by what were they called? The Alembics.
Oh yeah.
So it was Jill Mulvaney who runs Alembics. She runs gin making classes, and she's based up in Auckland, but she travels around and does kind of little classes. And it was out at the Phyto farm just outside a little river. And so that was Christmas 2019. February 2020. I went and did my course, and I came home and I was all excited, and I said, we need to buy a still. And he was like, damn it.
I actually remember
knowing full well that was kind of what I was going to do, because I do that sort of thing. And I was talking to Adam about it, getting really excited, and he's gone, okay, let's do it.
She did that, when someone really likes something and they go, oh wow, oh look at that, isn't that nice? Oh look at that, oh it's only that much, oh no. And I had a bit of drink that night. I had a bit to drink.
Gins.
I was a bit wallied. And then I went, I'll just go halves with you. Oh really? Yeah, I'll go halves with you. And then we went halves on a little 5 litre.
I gave him a chance to change his mind and press order. Purchase now.
Yeah.
So we did that. We bought a still. 2020, March 2020, we locked down, and I was working from home at the time, and so I just spent quite a lot of time just developing recipes and mucking about. And
I came in lockdown with you guys as
and
well.
he moved back in with us during lockdown because he was kind of quite isolated anyway. So we just worked on recipes, and by the end of 2020, we'd kind of got the base range that you see now, and then we were kind of trying to work out what we do next. Do we scale up? And when I say scale up, we were scaling up from like a 5 litre still to a 50 litre still. So that's what we're working with right now, is just a 50 litre still in our garage.
Because by that point we had decided to have a go of
actually to making it commercially,
because we quite liked the whole process, didn't we? And we quite, and with gin drinkers as well, like it's a big family thing. You know, like it's been a big part of our family back in the UK. Like I'm from Plymouth. Mum's from up north, but like we grew up in Plymouth, which is a big gin kind of area. It's got like the gin, the Plymouth Gin Distillery, which is the oldest gin distillery in the UK.
Yeah.
So again, it was a big part of our lives. So and that kind of passion kind of translated into it. And because of the way me and Mum we're quite similar. We like trying these little like business idea things, and this was kind of one of those things that we were like, oh, we're passionate about it. We like creating stuff. Let's just have a go, and we have done, and we've just been having a go since then, really.
So we launched in December of 2021.
Oh, yeah.
So it took us the whole of 2021 to kind of get the still, get the bottles, get the labels, get all of the regulatory stuff that you have to do to kind of get set up. So it took us the best part of a year really to get that sorted, and then we launched in December of 2021. The first place that we were stocked on the shelf was the Juniper Collective in Christchurch City. I think they'd been open about a week when I went in there with our gin to Ashley, and I said, look what we've got, put it on your shelf. And she went, okay.
Sure.
And she did, and she's probably been one of our best customers since then, you know, so we're really grateful to her for taking the chance really and putting us on the shelf, because she didn't have to, you know, but she did. So yeah, we've got a really cool relationship with those guys, and then we started doing festivals and events and that kind of thing, and this year, so 2023, we said that year we would go to pretty much any event that we could get to in New Zealand. So we've travelled the length and breadth of the country in the last 12 months, and we've still got a few more left before the end of the summer season. But we'll have been pretty much everywhere. Up to Auckland, Tauranga, down to Wellington, Dunedin, Canterbury, obviously, you know, and everywhere kind of in between. So cool. You know, it's been really cool this year, because we've met a lot of people. We've sold a reasonable amount of gin as well, which has been cool.
And a big thing I really enjoy about it is the people you meet in the industry as well. It's not just like the random people who like drinking gin. It's not, you know, it's all the people that have got the same passion as you. You know, and you all. And the thing about New Zealand as well is they're very, very collaborative. And, you know, it's not like in the wine industry where everyone's quite secretive and like, no, don't steal my secret grape recipe or whatever. I don't know.
Because that's
but
what
the thing is, you know, you could give me your botanical bill, and I'll put it through my still, and it's going to taste.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And that's kind of the cool thing about it.
Yeah. And that's why everybody is so open. You know, they'll say, you know, like we made our slow gin, for instance, and our slow gin, we put peaches in it as well, but it's completely different to, say, the Humdinger guys, their slow gin. They use fresh sloes. We use dried sloes that are rehydrated. And it'll be different to the Curiosity guys. They do theirs completely differently as well. And so we've shared with various other distillers who are keen to do a slow gin, and we've kind of said, well, this is where we got our sloes from, and this is what we've done with it. But you know, we soak our sloes in our gin, so just by the very nature of it being soaked in our gin, it's going to be different to their version of slow gin, for instance. So, you know, Well,
let's put a pin in that, because I want to talk about your gin and how you arrived at the recipe at which you did.
And before even that, let's get a drink.
I think so. Sure. That would be a great opportunity to dive on in.
We've got
open bottles.
We'll start with the London Dry. This was...
Pass it over.
Perfect.
So, like, this was our first recipe that we kind of decided that we quite liked.
For a long time it was called recipe number 5.
Okay.
Because that was the version that we arrived at. So we had our first one, which was recipe 1, and it was we thought it was awesome when we first made it, because it tasted like gin, and it wasn't until we kind of tweaked the recipe that we've got and we realised it was really shit. And it really wasn't very good at all. It was bad.
Comparing older versions
Oh man, it was terrible.
of the recipe, and you go, fuck, sorry. But like, how did we think that was any
nice?
Good, you know?
So we tweaked it a few times. We put a bit more of this, a little less of that, and whatnot, to kind of arrive at the recipe. But there's about 6 botanicals in that.
Okay.
It's not much at all. So there's juniper, coriander, almond, elderberry, rosehip, and citrus, lemon and orange, and that's it.
Yeah. So kind of our methodology with making the flavors is making gin that we like to drink.
Yep.
So these gins are all gins that we enjoy and we like the flavor of and we like the taste of, but also to be a lot more focused on the flavor. So you get a lot of gins out there that have got a whole bunch of botanicals in there, and we felt like you would lose a lot of those botanicals in those flavors. So we wanted to take some flavors that we enjoyed and just really focus in and hone in on them in the gins, and we feel like a lot of that has been kind of
so they're not really battling with
quite
each
well.
other. The botanicals aren't battling too much.
Yeah, I feel like everybody took this step, like to go as many botanicals as possible, and now people are starting to pull back a bit more.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah. No, definitely.
So this is like our really nice and quiet, like quite clean gin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very focused on those like juniper heavy, citrus, and then you've got the elderberry and the rosehip to kind of add a bit of sweetness in there and a bit of floral notes at the end.
Yeah, it definitely does.
So it's a gin that's really quite easy to drink, and it's really quite it's I wouldn't say it's like your bog standard gin, but like it's a very nice straightforward gin that's also really easy to drink on its own.
When I'm talking to people at shows and whatnot, and I'll say, you could go into a liquor shop, you could pick that off the shelf, and you would kind of know what you were getting with it. It would be there's no real surprises with it. It's a kind of a good old London dry style gin.
Yeah, it could appeal to a lot of
and
people.
It will appeal to a lot of people who know what they like. And you talk to people at the show and they'll say, I don't like any of this flavoured stuff and pink gin or whatever, just give me a bog standard London dry. And I'll go, right, here's your thing, you try that and see what you think. And so they go for that, and they're happy with it.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. I mean, it's got everything you want out of a classic style sort of gin.
And it's not lost when you add the tonic.
No, it's definitely
not.
So a good Indian or Mediterranean tonic mixes quite well with it. Both do their own thing, because obviously a Mediterranean is going to be different to an Indian, and it's all down to personal taste, really.
Yeah.
We normally pair it with a Mediterranean just because it's got slightly less quinine in it. A lot of people who say they don't like gin and tonic, that's usually the tonic they don't like. And it's nothing to do with the poor gin that gets a bad rap, so it's quite nice.
Has become the standard way to drink gin, just gin and tonic.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
So that's what you hear. But for someone like myself personally, I wouldn't have gone and picked gin because I don't love tonic, and that's the only way anyone ever serves it to you.
That's right.
But if you can get through that or try a different mixer or something, then sometimes it's great,
Yeah, and like soda water is good for some people, and again, and that's another thing is that I don't like soda water because I feel like it washes out the flavours of it.
Yeah,
and I'm just drinking funny water at the end of it, but Mum really enjoys bit of soda water and a touch of lime with some of her gin and tonics, and so it's all different, and that's kind of the cool thing about gin is that any other gin can be made in any other different ways to everybody else, so it's all down to personal preference, really. That's what's quite cool about it. But
no, that's great. I love it. What do you reckon?
It's as you say, it's classic. There are no surprises, and I love the citrus that jumps out of there as well. And
to me, it's the elderberry and rosehip that really shine through, as sort of the unique part of it anyway.
Yeah, I like the little sweet floral bit at the
it's
end.
quite nice, Yeah.
How interesting is that dynamic, being a family-owned and run business?
So the biggest trick is not holding a grudge. Honestly, because a lot of families will get knocked off with each other and sod off and do all that, but like I said, me and Mum are quite similar people, so we do butt heads quite a lot. But at the root of it is the fact that we love each other as a family, right? And we don't enjoy not being around each other enough for us to never speak to each other again if we get angry at each other. And it doesn't take very long afterwards, after an argument, where we would reconcile again, because again, at the base of it, we actually do enjoy each other's company. And that's kind of the thing. Eventually and we've got short memory, so we'll forget about it eventually. We'll forget about it by the end of the day, and we'll start laughing about something stupid.
I can't remember what we were arguing about in the beginning, really. And it is, everybody gets frustrated with each other, right? And I think you find that in business, and there's obviously stresses and frustrations, and there's deadlines, and you do get worked up about it. But I think at the heart of it, if we can be honest with each other and communicate with each other, which can sometimes be hard to do it in a constructive way. You just have to think about what you say before you say it, really, which can be quite hard. And I will admit to that. And I don't always follow my own advice, but yeah, like Adam says, at the heart of it, we love each other, and we would rather be around each other than not.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, really.
It's pretty cool to see, family-run distillery like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but like if you're ever at a festival, you can see us bloody bickering away, having a go at each other all the time. But we're not actually like being horrible.
No.
We're just going bloody hell, just ragging on at each other.
Stop pouring such big samples, man.
Yeah, that was a big thing at the start.
Yeah.
Filling up an entire shot glass of bloody sample.
Honestly, anytime anyone comes to help me, I see that right away. Everyone fills up the shot.
Yeah.
That's too much. It's too much.
Yeah. Because actually you get into trouble for doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not because we don't want to give people more.
No,
you're going to get in trouble.
There's like a liquor license type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the biggest part of it. It's just kind of, I think what the way it is like letting go of your own ego a little bit. Actually, you kind of realize that you're all part of a team trying to build something that's a bit more important than your own little kingdom type thing. You know what I mean? Like, so you kind of just you just kind of like let it go at the end of the day, we're all very honest with each other.
Yeah.
And we will try something. We go, I don't like that, and then we'll go why, and then we'll try and figure out how to make it work so that we're all happy with it going forward. And that's just kind of the thing. And like at the base of it, we view the distillery as a way of creating a lifestyle for us as a family as well. Yeah. It's not just a thing that we want to use to make money and sod off. It's a thing we want to create for us as a family, where we're all kind of living this lifestyle, creating gin and selling it around the country and visiting people and just having a laugh. And
I think everybody that we've talked to said that if you want to make money, you don't start a distillery.
No. and that's something we've learned. We used to have this saying where we'd say, when we're gin rich, I think we've come to the conclusion that we're never going to be gin rich.
Yeah.
We may be gin comfortable at some point, but probably never gin rich.
Yeah.
Not if we're just selling in New Zealand anyway, because I think it's just too small a market. There's too many distillers at the minute, and there's
we've talked lots about that before.
Yeah.
Sport for choice, I think Kiwis.
Yeah.
Kiwis and Australians are very sport for choice when it comes to craft anything.
It's almost
really
too easy to start a distillery.
Yeah.
Well, but that comes down to
exactly.
That comes down to it being legal to distill in your own garage.
Yeah.
Because that's how we started. We would never have been able to do this in the UK.
No, exactly.
I would have never done it. We would never have been able
to
do that. What we've done. So I think it is extremely easy to start up here, whereas I think doing something like this in the UK would require a lot more confidence in your product before you even started.
You just have to set one up and go for it. You know,
have a bit of capital too, because I think they charge your excise right at the minute it comes out of the still. Let's grab another drink.
Okay.
And,
sure.
I want to hear the story behind the name as well.
Oh yes, that was my next one.
Which one?
Well, both of you.
You lead us. You lead us. You tell us where we're going to go next.
We'll go with the verbena then.
All right.
So this is made with the lemon verbena leaf.
Finish that off.
No, you're right.
I don't want it driving now.
Yeah, I know, but just
I'll
pour it
just
into
pour
a
that in
thing.
there.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay.
I don't want to be on the podcast sloshing away.
Oh come on! It wouldn't be the
Why
first
not?
person.
Or there could be like a what's it called, a compilation take of me just going like that. You know, that'd be quite funny. So yeah, this is made with the lemon verbena leaf, and
so
this
this
kind
is
of
like is it still using the same?
no,
This?
so
No, it's totally different?
it's a completely different recipe.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise for quite a while actually until that people actually just changed the flavour. They had a base gin and they just changed some of the flavours.
Oh yeah.
So we made completely different recipes for all of the gins that we have. So the verbena, we grow the verbena in the garden. So we've got massive great verbena bushes that are just wild at the moment. And I was originally, when I was putting the recipe together, I originally was going to put lemon myrtle in there, and it wasn't particular. I was ordering it and I couldn't get what I wanted from it, so I thought a friend of mine had given me a bag of dried verbena from her garden and said, try this in some tea. And I was like, I'll put it in the tea. Thank you very much. I'd much rather do that. So that's what I did, and it turned out like it is, of sorts. We tweaked the recipe a bit, but it's kind of got, so if people make tea with it and it helps you sleep apparently, this will help you sleep as well, you know, to be fair. And so it kind of, when you smell it and you sniff it, it kind of gives you kind of the green tea type notes. It's quite savoury and quite herby, and when you taste it, you've got those green tea notes. It's got cardamom in it, so it's quite warming as well, and again quite savoury.
again we've got hawthorn and elderberry
we've got
in there as well,
hawthorn and elderberry
just
in
to
there.
kind of level it out a bit. But again, it's a very herbaceous, very earthy gin. It's also quite different, you know, like, because not a lot of like green tea-ish kind of style gins out there. And then a tonic that we really enjoy is the elderflower tonic.
Oh yeah.
And the elderflower mixes in really well with the gin itself, and it kind of elevates it and it makes it quite fresh.
Where does the colour come from in this?
Comes from the fresh verbena that we put in the basket. So as it usually as gin comes out, it's clear.
Yeah.
But because of the kind of freshness of the leaves and stuff, it kind of almost dyes it weirdly when it's vapouring through the basket.
Really?
And
that's cool. Wow.
To be honest, we didn't have a clue when it first started. We were like,
came
shit.
out and we were like, oh no, we've broken it.
We were like, shit, it's green. What are we doing? Blah blah blah. Because it came out clear first. Because like
did,
always,
yeah.
the first 5 litres comes out clear, and then afterwards it comes out really dark green, and we're like, what have we done? You know, because we were like this, and we were like, I don't know. We don't know what's happening. Blah, blah, you know, and we were like trying to figure out. And then eventually it was because we tried it with dry, and then we tried it with the fresh stuff, and it's the fresh stuff that seems to dye it green. So yeah, and and eventually we've just like, oh, you know, it's quite cool actually. It's something different.
It is cool.
You know,
Well, I wondered if you were adding that post distillation.
No,
It comes out like that.
that's how it comes out
That's
of the
incredible.
still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, well.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool, and it's just it's a unique feature of that particular gin, really.
Yeah.
And that's how it comes out. So we're kind of like, yeah, no, we're going to go with that.
I like that. Like if you're a tea lover, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is right up your alley. It's tea
Yeah.
gin, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little bit sweet, a little bit floral.
Yeah.
But that tea that's a dry green tea, just, comes through. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really intriguing.
Because I've smelt and tasted it before, but as soon as you said green tea, though, that's it.
It
You know,
is.
that's exactly
And
it.
you put that thought into people's heads, and you go, "Great, just take a sip, think green tea," and they go, "Yeah." And then I think because it's got elderberries as one of the botanicals, I think that's why the elderflower tonic kind of marries so well with it.
It really does.
Yeah.
That 1 + 1's not 2.
Yeah,
here.
no, not at all. No, so we were quite chuffed with that when we kind of discovered it, because you know how when you first make a gin and you're trying to pair it with particular mixes and whatnot, and we mixed it with that and we went, oh, this is really good. We were like all excited. And when we get people to taste it, so we, you know, when we're doing tastings at the festivals and whatnot, we usually try and encourage people to test it without any mixer first. And then we'll add a tonic or a soda or something with it after that. And it's almost like a revelation to people when they taste the verbena, and then we go, try it with this, and they go, oh, and it's just like so exciting.
We kind of enjoy that as well, because
Yeah.
you're almost kind of like re-educating people about drinking gin itself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will turn up and just know Gordon's or
Yeah.
like the straight London, and they go, oh, just like London Dry with the tonic, blah blah blah. And then you get them to try some of the other stuff that you've made, and you start seeing them kind of think a bit more about what gin is. You know, it's literally it's anything you want it to be, as long as it's got juniper in it. You know, like, and that's kind of what everybody's starting to figure out, I think. You know, so everyone's starting to realise that there's a little bit more to it than just your plain juniper-y liquor with a bit of tonic. You know, and that's quite cool. We enjoy that.
Yeah.
And that's what we like the most about the whole thing, is that we get to muck around and try different things.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of this is just us just mucking around, seeing what happens. And then if we like it, we work on it and bring it out. You know, and it's quite cool. That's my favourite bar. Anyway.
So while we're enjoying this, Longshot Distillery.
I got to imagine it's part of the last name, right?
So our name's Long, and it actually funnily comes from the middle brother Ashley, because it actually comes from originally when it was lockdown, we took part in the 48-hour film festival lockdown edition.
Okay, yeah.
And it was like you make a short film in the confines of your house, you know, based on a certain theme or something.
Yeah.
And you had to make a team name. And then Ashley, because he likes coming up with little, like...
Is that your brother?
Yeah. He likes coming up with these kind of, like, puns and stuff. And he just sit there and went... We were thinking about it, and he was just lying next to us and went, about Longshot, you know, because it was, like... long, and then we were like shooting a film, you know, like, and we were like, oh yeah, that's really clever. And then when we were coming up with the distillery name, we were sitting there thinking humming and hawing, and then we kind of remembered that, and we were like, oh, it's like long and then shot. But it also kind of means a long shot, as in we're just taking that
taking a punt, giving it a crack
of just trying something that we've never done before, you know, because we hadn't had a clue. Yeah. We've self-taught ourselves a lot of all of this, really. You know, we've sourced all the information. We've just had a go and seen if we, you know, blow up the garage or whatever, you know. And we haven't, because we've done the research and we taught ourselves. But that's kind of where that name comes from. And did you explain the Racketeer thing?
I didn't.
That's right. That's
we got ADHD'd and started drinking gin. But yeah.
So the Racketeer. That was a bit more tricky to come up with, really, and we thought about it for a long, long time. But then we thought the Racketeer was quite good because we thought we were running a bit of a racket in the garage, and you know, it just seems a bit dodge to us, you know, because you can't do this sort of thing where we come from, and it just seemed a bit ropey, to be honest. And so we went, oh yeah, let's call ourselves the Racketeer. And it kind of we kind of toyed with it for a little while, and then Adam so Adam's designed all of the labels for us. He did all of that, and the way he's done it is kind of in quite an Art Deco type way, sort of 30s kind of era. and it just stuck, and we quite like it now. Yeah.
So it was the question I had coming here was Longshot Distillery. Why not Longshot Gin?
Yeah, I can understand that. You know, but we did. I don't know. We just kind of like came up with that, and that's just kind of like how it became a thing. We liked the name Racketeer, like the whole like we liked that idea of us like running this racket and stuff like that. You know, and that's kind of just where it came from, and we always thought that the name was quite nice.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of sticks in your head, and it's the Racketeer, and I can understand there probably is a little bit of a confusion between Longshot Distillery and
no, it's not. I don't think it's
sometimes,
confusing at all. But like,
you're not the only. I mean, you've got Elemental Distilling that make this gin. It's not the only. No, I was just curious.
Elemental gin.
Exactly.
You know?
No, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's and again they'll have a story for theirs. You know, and I think that's what again is another cool thing about craft stuff is that it's got a story and someone sat there and has created something with meaning behind it. You know, they haven't just looked at a thesaurus and gone, yeah, that sounds alright.
That's a good word.
Yeah, but yeah, it means something to us. You know, we're running this shanky racket out of our garage.
Don't sell yourselves too short.
To be honest, Dad's tidied it up quite nicely, actually. Yeah, Dad's come in and put a lot of order to it.
He has.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is just as well, really, because I think we'd be in jail if it wasn't for him.
You've got to have a person like that.
Mate, it's great.
I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't pay our excise bill on time. We wouldn't pay our GST. We wouldn't have everything set out for the lady who comes and does our auditing. We wouldn't do any of that, and we'd be in jail or shut down or something, you know. So
no, that's a really big part of the team. He keeps
us on the straight and narrow.
He does the logistics. He sorts out the finances. He makes sure everything's up to par and stuff like that. And the weird thing is that he enjoys all of that.
He loves it.
And he's kind of. It's not like, oh yeah, I'll do that then. It's like, this is my bit. Thanks. I'll do this.
You go over there and do your creative stuff.
You go over there.
I'll just sit here with my labelling and my numbering of my bottles, and so he does all of that.
He loves that, and it's very ordered. It's very structured for him, and he really enjoys it. And it's like that's his cup filling experience.
We could not do it without him.
Because we couldn't have convinced him to come on the podcast.
Right.
We'd be like, come talk on the podcast, and he'd be like, get lost. He'd be like, no way.
Totally.
Well, I as I remember from the festival, you two were up front telling the story, pouring drinks, and every now and again you'd look over and like, cut some more limes. And he had his knife and he's happy and he's cooking the things up.
He loves it.
Definitely.
He loves it. When we're at the festivals, he has his little like ordered station for cocktail making, and it's all regimented out.
And he's fast.
And he's really quick now.
He churns out those drinks really quickly,
And he hates it when you touch it. He's like, don't touch my station, put it back where it is, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just, So, we're very grateful for Dad because we wouldn't be as far as we are.
Definitely not.
Because we would have looked
at all of that numbering you see on the side of the bottle there, that's all done by Matthew.
Oh, yeah.
He does all of that.
He does the labelling and stuff because we try to help him and then we don't do it right. And then he whinges at us until we get fed up and leave. You know, which is kind of cool because we were looking at your cranky label machine. So that makes it a lot easier for him and build it up for him.
He'd love that.
Yeah, it'd be great.
What a Christmas gift, eh?
I know, right?
Just be a gift for any occasion. Yeah. But yeah.
Cool.
That's kind of the story behind the names.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of us just making shit up, really.
Because when I heard of you guys for the first time, and I looked you up, and I remember going to your website, and I thought, oh yeah, Racketeer or Longshot Distillery, they make Racketeer Gin. What else do they make? You know? Because I don't know why, but I instantly think if you have a different name from your product, oh, there must be something else too. You know?
And I think that's probably part of it is the fact that we had the Longshot Distillery name on the understanding that we may branch out and do other spirits as well. You know, we have talked about we have created a vodka. It's a botanical vodka, so it's slightly different to your bog standard vodka. again, I'm not a vodka drinker, so I don't know what a decent vodka tastes like because they all taste the bloody same to me. And so we created a kind of a really subtly flavoured vodka, which I like.
Yeah.
That's what's important, really,
Actually,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Julian's vodka from number 8 is really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got some cool techniques.
Yeah.
That's quite cool.
So, you know, we and we have kind of toyed with the idea of maybe doing a rum or something like that.
Because we like rum as
enjoying
well.
that, we like
You know,
rum.
like that's another thing we quite enjoy, rum.
Yeah.
So,
you know, who knows?
Just see how it goes. And that's the creative spirit of it.
Racketeer rum's got a good name to it. I can see a pirate ship in the future.
Yeah.
You never know.
they're from England. It's got to be a smuggler of some
Yes,
sort.
it would be as well.
Smugglers.
From the southwest in
Yes.
Plymouth, where we
Yeah.
kind of where the boys grew up, it would definitely be a smuggler gin.
Yeah.
Rum, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got a lot of that going on around there.
Yeah. We do.
That's the old accent.
Right, wine lover.
All right, wine lover. Love a good shot of rum, like, innit?
Come on. All the spice, love.
Yeah. Speaking
funny.
of rum, we've got the spice gin.
Yeah.
So this is our take on a spiced gin, because we tried some gins and we were like, oh, they're not as spiced as we'd like, so we had a go at it.
Look back.
Putting in what we thought were good flavours, and it kind of gets touted a bit as a Christmas gin,
Oh, yeah.
because it's got a lot of those. Do you want a little bit?
A little bit.
Cinnamon and clovey kind of thing.
Got those cinnamon, cloves, allspice, and it's got a good load of ginger and orange in there as well. So it's got a lot of nice savoury
You say
flavours.
that I actually ordered a bottle of the
Yep.
spice gin for my mum for Christmas, had it sent down. She said there was something wrong with it and that it disappeared far too quickly. I don't
Just
know.
evaporated.
I don't know if that's
really
a problem that
quickly.
you have with all of your bottles.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
if
no,
you
we
can look into
will.
that one for me,
Yeah.
she'd appreciate it, I'm sure.
Yeah, like you could take those and put that in a rum, and I can definitely I can smell the botanical
Yeah,
rum
so
as well.
that's kind of probably one of the things down the line, is to just take kind of our spice recipe and just apply it to a rum.
But as a gin, it's beautiful too.
It's great. And this is kind of the gin that we use for people that...
Gingerbread.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of one of the gins that we use for people that say they don't like gin. So like you get your big kind of like farmer lads or mechanics or something like that go, I don't drink gin, blah blah blah, I drink whiskey or rum or whatever. Give that a go. And there's been quite a few of them that have gone off with a bottle, so
It
like,
appeals to the rum and the bourbon drinkers,
Oh yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Especially when you mix it with a ginger ale. So we mix.
Which is what we've got for your tree ginger ale.
I haven't even added the ginger ale, but already I'm just like,
Yeah, there's some-
of course, you
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt will drink that. He'll just sip it over ice.
Yes.
That's buttery and it's full and rich, and there's just so much.
There's a ton of flavour in that. Yeah.
There's a ton of flavour.
But I can see why people would loop that into a Christmas gin for sure.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
But
and we've put it in a mulled gin before.
We have.
And you just make it as you would a mulled wine, but obviously don't add the wine. And then you you pour yourself the mixture and then shoot the gin in. And just stir it around.
Yeah.
It's great.
Because you guys, I guess you guys would have grown up with Christmas in winter.
Yeah.
So
Mulled
this is
wines.
this is what I'd be used to as well. Yeah. Whereas you guys in your summer winters or summer Christmas, this
It's just weird.
it is weird. Yeah.
I'm outnumbered at the table.
For the first time ever.
First time.
Christmas dinner on the Barbie.
Yeah, nah.
Or what happened, which is more common. So we had it with my in-laws this year, and they do insist on the full proper cooked roast, and you sit there sweating away at the table over this full cooked roast with potatoes and all the trim and everything else. And you're like,
we just
That's what we do.
we
do that.
just eat it and fall asleep.
Yeah,
exactly.
we do.
Yeah.
Fall into a food coma.
Yeah.
Wake up and have pudding.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't. To me, it's not a Christmas day if you're standing outside with a barbecue on it. That's not.
We tried it once and it felt really weird.
Yeah.
It did feel weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a turkey.
Yeah.
We have a ham.
Yeah.
We have pigs in blankets.
I'm coming to your house next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. You'd be welcome.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
I love that. So, which one do you think, like, which one's the most popular out of the three of them? Like,
I would say the spice is probably the most popular.
really?
People.
Yeah,
Closely followed by the verbena.
Yeah, because
actually.
they are the things that are different. You know, people look at them and go, "Ooh, I haven't tried that before. I'll have that." Or if they try it at a festival, they'll be go, "Oh, I really like that. It's different."
So when they come to a festival like Gindulgence or Gintastic or that kind of thing, people are coming. They're seasoned gin drinkers, and so they come to try something different. So they know what a London Dry tastes like, right? And so they don't necessarily. It's not that it's a bad gin. They taste it and they go, yeah, it's really nice. But they go home with something different, like the verbena or the spiced, and that's okay. We sell a reasonable amount of the London Dry still, so it's not.
one thing I noticed a lot of contention maybe with in the gin circles is just like, how do you define a London Dry? So like, how do you guys define a London Dry compared to like a classic? Some people say like a classic gin or London Dry. Like, is there a difference?
Yeah, there's like a style. It's mostly like how it's made. So like, I think a London Dry, just from my opinion, has kind of become the name for like most gins because it's a distilled gin. It's more like the technique, like how a bathtub gin is made a certain way and it's normally a different type, or an Old Tom gin is different in its technique. And then there's Plymouth gin. Plymouth gin is its own style.
Okay.
And it's very much like champagne. It's not called Plymouth gin unless it's from Plymouth.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, so no, other people can't make that style because it's got that weird, someone's just come up with the rule going, you can't do that. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I think it's like more the techniques that are used rather than the flavours, but nowadays everybody's just kind of doing so many weird and wonderful things that you just call it a gin, and I don't feel like it matters that much. I don't feel like gin is very good under constraint. You've already got things like whiskey that are under constraints and stuff like that, and it's a very focused style of spirit making. But I feel like nowadays gin has becoming this kind of weird and wonderful, colourful world of just doing whatever.
Yeah.
Where people have got coffee gin, or like peppermint flavoured stuff like, and I don't feel like the name matters as much.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people get a little bit too hung up on that.
I think you're definitely right. Like we see it quite a bit.
If it's nice, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, I think with the I think traditionally what people describe as a London Dry is very juniper forward and citrus, and they're the kind of the main flavours that you would expect from a London Dry. But I think a classic dry with no other flavours is probably more what that is.
Right.
I think anyway. Yeah. We did talk about changing the name to.
We did think about it because again, like yourself, we did have that dilemma where we were like, "Is it really a London Dry?" And then eventually we were just like, "Who cares?"
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it fits the bill to an extent of what you would expect.
Yeah.
I haven't had a person come up to me and say that's not a London Dry.
Yeah.
They drink it and they go, "Yep, cool."
I made a gin a while back called Moose Lake, and it was. I'd consider it London Dry, but I didn't feel confident enough to call it that, just because I had read some of the stuff on, here and there, and people are like, oh, it's got to be done a certain specific way, certain botanicals or whatnot, and I was like, oh, is it meeting all those things? So I just went classic. I said, okay, classic gin. That kind of equals, I almost feel like the same.
To be honest, like, who's going to come and...
there's no gin police, especially down here.
There isn't, and I think that's the thing. Like with something like a Plymouth gin or whatever. You couldn't make a Plymouth gin because it's not made in Plymouth, but and they've kind of got the trademark on that, and that's okay. But with a London Dry, you can make a gin and call it a London Dry, whether it technically fits the bill to whoever determines what a London dry is, is probably.
It'd be funny to argue the toss with the Plymouth guys about it, though, wouldn't it? You'd be like, "What are you going to do?"
Get like a cease and desist letter from their lawyer or something.
I'd love that. That'd be something for the news, wouldn't it?
Because we know like the Scotch Whisky Society, they're ruthless. If anybody around the world puts anything with the name like Loch or Glen in their whiskey name, they come after you.
There was a German distillery that was calling it Glen something, and I think it might legitimately have been named after the place where they were making it in Germany, and they came down like a ton of bricks. Like, you cannot.
They're quite jealously protective of that.
And,
but
and
again,
they've built that. That's their.
But it's a branding, isn't it?
It's a massive business,
it's an umbrella of branding over there. One of their main exports, I would expect. You know? Like, whiskey is a main export for Scotland. So they would kind of come and hammer you down for stepping in on their production.
For sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just make a Plymouth gin and be like, have a go.
Well, you would get some PR out of it.
Yeah, exactly. You would. And we're from Plymouth, so what can they do? Like, we're from there.
Mate, one of you guys, come on.
Yeah. If I have to make it in the city, I'll do it. Like,
can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. God, they'd hate it.
Don't do that.
It's an idea. It's an idea.
No, I'll be alright. I can't be bothered.
So these are this is what I was expecting to try, and fantastic. What I was surprised to see is this range. So tell us about this experimental.
So these are our fruit gins. So these are kind of born from us experimenting. So not last year, but in 2022, we started off with these two because we got some plums from a neighbour, and we chucked it in some gin to see what it'd be like, and we were like, "Yep, that's really nice." We got some black currants from our back garden, chucked it in some gin, and we were like, "Ooh, that's really nice as well." And it was under our white label last year and the year before. So the first batch was actually all right. It took a little while for us to get it all sold through.
Get it shifted.
I think that's kind of down to the lack of events that we went to as well, and the fact that we were just kind of like testing it out, and we were just like, and then this year round, we kind of went a little bit overboard with it. We made a lot more. We made 4 because we tried a slow, and we ended up making a slow peach again with some Black Boy peaches from our neighbour's garden. Had another go with these two, and then we made some raspberry gin, which is made with raspberries from the Raspberry Cafe out in Taitap. So so all of the fruits here are grown here in New Zealand.
Apart from the slows.
Apart from the slows, obviously, because you can't. There's one place hidden in Otago that does it, and they don't let anybody have.
They don't share.
They don't share, so that's fine.
But that's all right.
We haven't asked either. So.
No.
But yeah, and this is kind of where we've come with them, and they've actually done really well, and we were actually quite lucky to scrounge together enough to fill these bottles, because we don't have any other of this. This is like the last bottle of this year. That's pretty much the last bottle of this year.
We've got about 100 mils.
They're all the last bottle. We've got a few more of these, but that's because we released them later. But they're almost out as well. So,
well, thank you for sharing them with us.
No,
you're very welcome.
I'm interested here. So with the raspberry, got 24%, then 25, and then 30, and then the slow one here up at 41.7.
Yeah. So
how are you arriving at?
So with
by mistake.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah. So with the fruits, it's obviously when you soak fruits in gin, the ABV will get reduced from getting soaked by the things, and mixing up with all the different sugars that come out of it as well. And so when we went to test it after diluting a lot of it, we figured out that the sugars from adding because we made our own sugar syrup just to kind of add a little bit of sweetness to it and stuff. We figured out that the sugars were throwing off our hydrometer, so we didn't actually know what it was. So we were kind of like diluting it to what we thought, and then we didn't actually know what it was. So we had to end up sending it to send it to the labs up in Nelson, because they had the equipment to test it.
Have you seen that Anton Parr just released a thing this week that you can now do it with their little machines?
Who have they?
I'll show you.
You'll have to
afterwards.
send
Okay.
a link
It's
for it.
awesome. I went and
Cool.
ordered the other part today because you need a second part for it, but
Excellent.
you can do it. Yeah.
But
Perfect.
yeah, we'll have to have a look at that because that's important. But yeah, so we kind of just sent them up and we were like, oh yeah, it's at that level, and we were like, yep, that's cool, we'll keep that. And then it's at that level, cool, we'll keep that. And then I think we did another test for that one.
We diluted that.
We diluted that one, and we were like, cool, we'll keep it at that. And then that one was a bit more of a mare because we started making it, we diluted it, and this is the one that we figured out we had the problem with the sugar thrown off our hydrometer.
Right.
And we were kind of doing a bit more of we'll just add this. Oh, we'll just chuck a bunch more London Dry in it. And we ended up with like a shitload of gin that we didn't know the ABV of. And we were like, fuck, what do we do? And it just sat there for quite a while until we figured out what we can do. And then because we were tasting it and it was telling us that it was like really low percent. And Dad was excited because he was like, rah, loads of really cheap, really low ABV gin, it'd be great, blah, blah, blah. And then we ended up sending it up and it was around about 40 odd percent.
Yeah, it's about 41.
41 something percent. And we were like, do you know what, we'll just leave it like that.
Because we liked the taste of
And we
it
liked
as it
it,
was, and we were afraid that if we diluted it anymore, it would lose some of the flavour. So it's kind of similar to what the ABV of the regular gin that we have. It's 42%. And so, we kind of just left it and thought, right, we'll sell it as a gin, whereas the other three are liqueurs because they're between 24 and 30%. So you can't call them gins because they're too low in an ABV. But, they're delicious as they are. And so I'm really keen for you to try them.
Cool.
So crack one open.
You want to start with the raspberry?
I hate won't be directed by you.
Raspberry's like my favourite fruit. So
Yeah.
We put...
So you're looking to do more of this kind of seasonal release?
Yeah. So we've just put our... so we've got another batch of slow on now.
Yeah.
When the peaches come ripe, we'll chuck some peaches in. But at the minute, we're just soaking the slows in there. We've just made the gin to put the plums in, and we harvested the plums a couple of weeks ago. They're in the freezer. And then the raspberries, we'll get kind of the raspberries from the raspberry calf probably
Thank you.
towards the end of the season. And we just take their crappy raspberries that they can't sell. And we just...
But they're not crappy.
Well, they're not crappy. They're lovely raspberries, but they're not, they're
They
not
don't look
pretty
very nice.
raspberries that you'd put on
yeah.
your cave.
Yeah.
These are like your jam-making raspberries that you just want to mush up, which is what they end up being.
And also, this is the year that we had the labels for them as well.
Yeah.
So we've then come up with these labels for them, and because they've passed the test. They really put and like we were saying before, is that at the festivals that we did, we released them.
Just the home show.
It was around about the home show.
It was the home show. That was the first.
And it was
weekend
probably
that we
about
had
by the third event or something like that, they were almost all gone. And then again, that's back to what we were saying before, is that people like something that's different.
Yeah.
and knowing that actually all it is gin and fruit and a little bit of sugar syrup, just to take that tang out of it,
From the tannins, yeah.
And so it's got no artificial flavourings, sweeteners, colourings, nothing. What you see is the fruit,
right there.
and that's what the fruit is. I mean, a really technical term is that this has got a shit ton of raspberries in it.
Load.
It really has, but because we put some raspberries in that we thought was probably enough, and we left it for a bit, sloshed it around, and went, no, we need more raspberries in there. So we went and bought the same amount again and chucked it in there, and that was the right amount to put in.
Nice.
But even for locals, to be able to say, this is where we got our raspberries from, and I know, I've been to that cafe, I know exactly where, and I'm like, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
But we enjoy that as well. We enjoy that,
Yeah.
like getting stuff from local places and collaborating with local places. And we're still like talking to other people about that sort of thing. Like there's like a local lavender farm that's quite keen to work with us and stuff like that as well, and we're playing around with that, and yeah, and again, that's scratching our itch of making different stuff and new gins and things, and yeah.
So I guess for a second, putting aside the fact that you've travelled the length and breadth of the country in the past year, which is exciting, what kind of support, reaction, feedback do you get in your own backyard? What do you get from the Rolleston and the Selwyn community?
So, like...
The Rolleston community are on the whole really supportive of us.
Like the people that live there.
The people that live there. Am I allowed to say something about the liquor shops?
Do whatever you want, yeah.
Because we don't get any support from them. There's 2 liquor shops in Rolleston, and we have been told quite squarely that they won't put us on the shelf, which is disappointing. But at the end of the day,
well, I think
actually.
To be honest, like
them,
so I talk a lot more with the stores and stuff, and that's kind of my thing there. I think a lot of stores kind of, and I don't want to sound like I'm bad mouthing them, but it seems like they like to put stuff on the shelf and just watch it come off again, and that's fine. They're busy,
well, that's the
they've got a lot of stuff
in,
to look at, and they've got a lot of stuff to sort out, but again, if if you wanted to stand out as a store with a unique local gin, like if you're a Rolleston shop with a gin that's made literally 5 minutes walk from the bloody place that makes it, why wouldn't you, and why wouldn't you? And like we've always offered to like make posters or come in for tastings and stuff. We're fine with all of that, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest or interest in making an effort with that. They definitely want to just put it on the shelf and just watch it come off again.
This is quite interesting because I was sitting here cutting peaches earlier, and I was having this thought. I was having this exact conversation in my head, and I was thinking, I wonder if we could talk about this on podcast. But I was like, I'm sure it won't come up. But here we are.
Here we are.
But I think there's 2 sets of liquor stores out there in New Zealand. There's the ones that want to sell their Jack Daniels and Smirnoff and get that stuff out the door. It's cheap, it's easy. People are going to buy it for sure. They know that shelf space is safe. Then there's the other ones who are going to sell that stuff, but they're really excited to explore New Zealand. And it's really just hard to find those ones because there's so many liquor stores.
We've got a couple.
Prebbleton's a great one.
Yeah.
Prebbleton Liquorland are amazing, and as are the Wigram Liquorland as well.
Because they've got really good appreciation for craft spirits,
and they want to support local as well. And so I think I have huge respect and huge appreciation for those guys because they work hard to shift the product. They invite us in for tastings. They've got little samples like 200ml bottles behind the counter, and they'll give you a wee taste to say, look, this is a local gin, support that. And so they're constantly trying to do the right thing for their local producers. So I think you hats off to them for that.
And another shout out to the Junior Collective as well.
Yeah,
because they are actually selling stuff. They're not just watching people walk in and pick up stuff, because they haven't got the main gins of the world on the shelf. They've got just New Zealand gins. They've got a very small international section off in the corner, and the rest of it is all New Zealand gins. And they do sell it, and they go up and they talk to people and they talk about what they like or their recommendations based on what the people are after, and they're actually salesmen in the store. They're not just sitting there waiting for you to buy your box of McKenna's or something, like they're like, hey man, what are you looking for? What type of gin do you like? It's a meaningful
conversation.
Yeah, and then they go, oh, I like this. And it's like, well, what tastes like that, or what's something a bit like that.
Yeah.
And we sell really well there.
We do.
Because they do. They like our stuff, and they push the stuff that they feel like is good for the customer.
And they do their Distiller Friday as well, and they do their Aotearoa gin weekends, and they have huge amount of people. I mean, it's great for them, but it's also great for the distillers, because you can go in there and we've done lots of Distiller Fridays before, and we always shift gin on those.
Even on quiet days.
Even on quiet days.
Even on a quiet day when not many people come in, the hit rate's really high.
Oh, good.
Because people who are going in there are interested in the gin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're receptive to the sales tactics of not tactics, but like, you know, the interpersonal connection that people build with each other.
Yeah.
Because they're lovely people.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't, they're not
pushy.
Yeah, they're not pushy, but they're
Yeah.
very, you know, they're very friendly. And I feel like that's what a lot of stores miss, in my opinion, is that they're actually there to sell stuff. You know, they're not just there.
But they want you to go away with something that they think you'll enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now again,
Yeah.
it's finding those. There's certainly big chain stores that are good, and then there's ones that just aren't so keen on the craft market, you know, and that's how it's just going to be, unfortunately. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
People
look,
just gotta get it.
you know, and that's important for a lot of businesses when you look at the numbers, and you are beholden to the numbers at the end of the day,
Yeah.
because otherwise you don't have a business.
Yeah.
You know,
Liquor
what I
Lane
mean?
Shirley, you should talk to them too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
They're really
Yeah.
keen.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, there's a huge list of people we need to talk to.
That raspberry one was jammy and syrupy. But
Oh, yeah.
what I loved was that I was apprehensive. I don't have a sweet tooth, and I was apprehensive that I was going to get some kind of sickly, syrupy, and it's not. It's got that bitter raspberry
It
edge
does.
that what you would if you were
Yeah.
biting into a fresh raspberry.
Yeah. So it's a
got a little bit of a
dry.
dryness as well.
Yeah,
It
it
is
does.
a little bit
Yes.
dry, which is good, and I think we had to be quite courageous with that when we were kind of trying to sweeten it up, because it was really tempting to chuck more of this sugar syrup in there than probably we needed. So it was kind of just getting that balance right, just to make it so that it was sweet enough, but not too sweet that it was like, because I have quite a savoury palate, so I tend to go more to the tartness of the. So this was quite difficult for me, because we were going, no, add some more, and I'm like, no. But you know, I think we got the mix right. I kind of feel as if we got the mix right.
So you were selling these in the 700ml or just in the samples?
No, we were selling them in the 375ml bottles.
Okay.
So that's kind of like a half size bottle, and that was mainly to try and hit as many people as we could with the small amount that we had, because we wanted to share it as widely as possible, but we had a finite amount of gin to share, so we kind of put it into 375ml bottles. And what we were asked for, because we have like a little gift pack of the base gins with the 3 200ml bottles, and pretty much everybody who came to the events that we were selling the fruits at was saying you should have them in 200ml bottles, and you should do a mix and match in the gift boxes, so that you know you can. So hence the 200ml bottle labels. They unfortunately came a little bit late for us to get them into the gift packs because they're sold out, but they'll be good for the next batch.
Yeah.
And so we'll be able to put them and you know give people the option to mix and match with the 200ml, but then have the 375s as well.
So with the raspberry and then the
now we're on the
plum
plum.
that we now have, how would you envision somebody drinking? Is it putting in some tonic, just an ice cube? Is it a cocktail? Like,
Yeah, sorry, I didn't put them in.
So they're all
No,
kind of. I mean, I think they're all pretty good sipping gins. They're liqueurs, but you know they're easy to sip on their own, and a lot of people have done that. But I guess the raspberry is really nice with a. If you've got any left.
It'd be a bit of a Mediterranean, it'd be
With
fine,
a-
you know, or a bit of yuzu.
Or the yuzu tonic, the East Imperial yuzu tonic is really good with it, because it just
Don't
brings
worry, it's okay.
it just
Yeah.
brings out that citrusy kind of fruitiness of it, and it just balances it out really nicely. It's not too sweet, so it's a nice mix. The plum is great with kind of like a Mediterranean tonic, but actually a lot of people like it with the ginger ale.
really?
People have tried it with the ginger ale, and it's weirdly good.
What type of plums are you using?
No idea.
They're the red plums off the tree in our garden.
Okay.
So they're
So
they're
they're not
trees from
damsons, they're not Black Doris,
No.
they're not that dark,
Yeah.
but they're just kind of like a red flesh,
Yeah.
pinky red flesh plum.
and it's like a mix of plums from your back garden
and my
your friend's back garden
yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
Also, a plum blend.
A plum blend,
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Because we are good at that.
we'd like to pretend there's a lot of like scientific thought in what's happened with these fruit gins, but they're a little bit more by the hip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's all done
It's
right.
limited.
obviously.
We're up a tree
seasonal.
with a bucket, and we're like trying not to kill ourselves, reaching into the nether regions of our tree to get the plums off.
It's all natural and it's
Yeah.
all focused on getting the fruit flavour in there.
Yeah.
And it's literally jamming as much fruit into the vat as you can to get as much flavour out.
Yeah.
And just stirring it every day or every other day and just making sure you get as much out of it as you can.
Yeah.
So again, not too sweet.
No.
Nope.
And I think that's the thing, that it doesn't have that artificial fruit flavour kind of element to it. It really is. You know how you get like you go to the fruit and veggie stalls on a Saturday and they've got the real fruit ice cream,
Yes.
and you watch them put a scoop of ice cream, scoop of fruit,
Yeah.
blends it together in the
Yeah.
cone. Yeah, I'm calling this a real fruit gin or a real fruit
Yeah.
liqueur. Not that it's got any kind of meaning,
It's
but
proper organic fruit gin.
proper.
Yeah.
You know?
It is.
Yeah.
It is because there's no spray on any of the trees or the bushes or anything like that. It's just there's weeds everywhere, which is a good thing apparently, because it means that you're not spraying it with weed killer
So
and
yeah,
stuff,
there's definitely no chemicals getting sprayed on
No.
any of these plants. So there's nothing there coming in. So
Just the way now. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
No, we grew up with we had Black Doris plum
Yes.
trees in our backyard,
Yeah.
and so I can certainly get that. Plum, and it's I was having a whiskey the other day, and my note for that was slightly underripe plum, and I'm kind of getting that. It's got that sweetness, but it's got that tannic, almost woody kind of edge in there. I didn't know that I was going to be pulling that note out like twice
There you
in
go.
2 weeks,
There you
but
go.
there we are. That is delicious. That really is lovely.
I think between the two, I prefer the raspberry. I think.
Yes,
But I'm
yes.
not a huge plum drinker. I'm
Yeah,
a
yeah,
eater
yeah.
myself.
and
But
again, it's completely down to
Exactly.
everybody's preference.
everybody likes their
like,
thing.
everybody likes every different one different. And we've had people turn their nose up at one gin
Yeah.
and absolutely love another one.
Yeah.
But
That's
that's
just
the
the way it
difference
is.
in your palate, though, isn't it? And again, I've had that conversation with people where I've said it's like wine. It's like the difference between a Sav and a Shardy, really, isn't it? You couldn't pay me to drink a Shardy because it's just like the devil's wine. But other people swear
Really
by
doesn't
it.
like it.
I really can't drink it, but it doesn't make it a bad wine.
No.
It's just it doesn't suit my palate, and that's okay.
It's funny because when people come up to me at the market on Saturdays and they say, "Oh, you got a gin?" I say, "Yeah, it's not for everybody, and it's totally okay. You don't have to tell me you like it if you don't like it,
I like it.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's that some people like it, some people don't." And I'm like, "If you don't like this one, I can tell you a bunch of other gins you might like. That's the good thing about gin is there's probably a taste out there you will
Absolutely,
enjoy.
and they're all different. Like we'll be at an event, and it will be a gin event, and you will go around and you will taste everybody's version of London Dry, and they'll all be different.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. It comes down to your palate and what you actually enjoy. So I think it's fine.
This one looks so dark. It looks like grape juice.
It's got
Tiny bit for me.
metric buttload of black currants again.
Yes, it does.
And it's got kind of that
Oh yeah.
black currant, almost ribenery kind of flavour going
Yeah.
on.
So I say to people, it smells like Ribena. It does
not
not taste like Ribena.
Almost like a
Yeah.
concentrate.
It's like there's also like a bit of a cardamom spice sort of thing going on in there. Eh?
There is no cardamom in there.
No.
No, okay.
There's like something like something. Almost
There's a warming kind of
yeah.
baking spice element to it.
interesting, eh? Oh, I like that one.
Oh boy,
Yeah, that is concentrated.
that is. Oh yeah.
Again,
Put that in a juice
Buttload.
box and give me a straw.
Blackcurrant.
Like,
Buttload.
here
That's the
you
thing.
go.
Adult juice boxes.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, there you go.
Alcoholic juice box.
Yeah.
so again, when I talk to people at events, I'll say, put a shot of this in your Prosecco.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's like a kind of a gin version of a Kir Royale, really. Because it's like Kir Royale is like a cassis type thing in champagne, typically. And this is kind of
It's
just
got a
like
lot of
a
that,
gin, but it's
actually.
got the gin, it's got the blackcurrant flavour, and it's
It's got a lot
Yum.
of cassis
it
characteristics
does.
to it, actually.
It does because it's
got that
jammy.
really deep-
It's rich.
Yeah.
It's still a little bit dry.
I actually did a tasting in Prebbleton and sold a bottle of our blackcurrant gin to somebody who was in looking for Prosecco.
Oh yeah.
She was like, and she was specifically going, what could I have with the Prosecco? And I was like, did I hear
Did I get
Did I hear someone want to
Do my
mix something
ears
with a
seven.
Prosecco? And she did it, and I've never heard from her again. But you know, like it was just kind of a cool thing to be like, hello, I've tried this before. You know, this is very nice. Also, another one that was quite cool that we found out was it was like a tropical thing. It was like a shot of that with some orange juice and a bit of soda water or something like that. And it became it became like a little kind of like
Oh, that was your dad that made that up, wasn't
yeah.
it? Mm.
And it was like a tropical,
nice.
like really nice fruity drink that was it was
I
quite
can see
neat.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you wanted it to be more alcohol, because obviously this is only like 30%, if you wanted more alcohol in it, you just shoot a bit more of like London Dry in there.
But that's the beauty of these ones. They're not alcohol forward. They're all
No.
full fruit flavour
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
That's not the first time I've come up with like
Try
5
saying that when you've had a few shots.
Indeed.
Fruit flavour forward.
But if you were making a cocktail, you're making a drink, even if it was just, you know, like a French 75 kind of take, it wouldn't take much of that at all to have a significant impact on the flavour.
flavour, definitely.
I mean,
Well, how long are you kind of infusing these for? Like,
Yes.
Is there a
About
time length? Or?
3 months is the
Yeah,
base.
Oh, wow,
is
really?
a
the
minimum
base.
of 2 and a maximum. I think the slow
Was in there
was
for
the
about
longest,
4.
but that had about 4 months. Well, that was because it was just sitting there until we worked out what the hell to do with it, really, and how we worked out what the ABV actually was. And so it just sat there just by
But we've
default,
used that
but
process to kind of inform what we do
next
for next
time.
time, you know, and like how
Yeah.
can we make something of that level again, you know, and
Yeah.
and again, these are all learning processes, and
I think we probably don't need to soak it for quite so long to get the flavour out. But again, it was just us
Doesn't
trying to
hurt it,
work out what we needed to do to get it right. I mean, we kind of fell on our feet with all of these gins. Actually, you know, they're all really and we're all really super proud of them.
Are they local
So-
blackcurrants as well?
Yeah, so they're a lot of them are from our blackcurrant bush in the garden, and then we just topped up with some frozen
Nice.
stuff.
just to
top
kind
it
of
up. Because again,
bulk
we
it up.
realised that is similar to the raspberries, although we got all of those from the raspberry, the Otahuna berries. The blackcurrants, there wasn't anywhere local at that time that we could get because they'd all kind of sold out at that point, so we just got them.
See, at first with this blackcurrant one, I had like a bit of bitterness on the first sip, but now that I've had it, a couple of sips, it's just great. It's a little bit sweet, but still a little bit dry.
Yeah,
Goes down easy.
yeah.
I like that. Good job, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I guess I'll just interject too. We'll just ask a really quick question. Which
Yeah,
alcohol
sure.
are you using?
So we use ethanol from Southern Grain Spirits.
Oh, cool.
So they use a grain-based spirit up there.
Yeah.
And it honestly, like just from us, when we were first making our gin, we were trying with different things, and we were telling you earlier that we tried making our own spirit.
Yeah.
And we flooded our pantry with with this alcohol.
It just got a little
that
bit overexcited,
got
didn't it?
overexcited and
Yeah.
made a big old mess, and we were like, oh, maybe we don't have the facilities to make our own alcohol, so we shopped around a little bit for alcohol.
Yeah.
And we really like the idea of a local spirit, you know, and we went to Kaiapoi, and they're a bunch of lovely but very grumpy old men
They are so
who make
cool.
alcohol. They're great. They're so funny because they're dry as a chip, absolutely dry as a chip. So if you go in there with a sense of humour, you're gonna have a great time. And we just got up there and we bought some alcohol from them and we made the gin with the alcohol and we were like, yeah, that's what we like. It's a very nice, clean spirit. You know, it doesn't.
And it's very consistent.
And it's consistent.
You know, the quality is very consistent, and we know exactly what we're going to get with it. So, they're just, they're just really cool to deal with.
They're just around the corner too.
Yeah.
So
And we do,
they're
and
nice
like I did that
guys.
as well. And I just drove up there on a Friday afternoon and just went, I'm here for the gin, the alcohol we've ordered. And they were like, yep, sure, like that, and we just had a little bit of a chat about things, and while they were filling up the jugs, and it's always a fun experience going to talk to those guys, because they've been doing it for donkey's years. You know, they've been operating for ages, and they've got a huge swath of different spirits and alcohols and everything like that. They've got everything.
I'm sure they've seen lots of people like us come and go over the
Yeah,
years.
and they do actually. And I was talking to them actually, and they get a lot of inquiries about buying ethanol from new people who want to try making alcohol, you know, and stuff like that. So it's a bit indicative of the industry as a whole about how the craft spirit distilling scene is just kind of exploding still. You know, it had quite an explosion over the last 5 years, but it's still going. You know, so it's still quite getting bigger and bigger even now.
But I think that's certainly conversations that we've had, and it's one thing that if you want to have a 5 litre still in your garage and you're just going to make some gin or whatever for you and your mates to have a bit of a party, that's one thing entirely. And it's another, because you can make a great gin, but as you have illustrated, it's a whole nother step entirely to try and... What did Anthony say? Anthony said, like, making gin is the easy part, selling gin. That's a whole nother...
Because I actually
Totally
do
agree.
watch your podcast of the time when it comes up, and I have seen that, so and he's totally right. Selling it is, especially in New Zealand, is the hard part. You know, because I'm kind of the sales rep for the distillery. Like, I've gone part-time from April, so I've been going around and doing like some of the sales stuff, marketing, blah blah blah. And there's so many times where I've walked into a shop and they've gone, not another fucking Kiwi gin, you know, not another one, Christ, you know, because they've got so many, because there's heaps of them. And that's a good thing, but also a bad thing, because like everybody is jostling and shouldering for shelf space. So thinking of creative and inventive ways of getting your stuff out there without having to push your way in, and being at the mercy of a liquor store, because that's what a lot of people are. They're very much at the mercy of a liquor store of whether they're going to put your stuff on the shelf.
So to those of people who are listening and watching, how can they buy from you
So
directly?
we are on the internet, longshotdistillery.co.nz. You can buy straight from us. If you're in New Zealand, it's pretty much free shipping. You know, around New Zealand. We can ship to Australia if there's anything one in Australia. I don't think we've shipped any further than that so far, but so we are on the internet. You know, we're pretty easy to talk to. Like, send us a message, we'll talk back to you. You know, I'm on my phone quite a lot.
I reckon if they were further afield, they could probably reach out to you and you'd give it
for sure. To be honest, Dad's really clever, and he figured out, because someone came to us and said, hey, I've been to they came to a festival or a show here and they lived in Australia, and they messaged us and said, hey, we live in Australia but we really like your gin, can we buy it and you ship it over? And Dad figured it out within a week.
Beauty.
You know, and he got it sorted. You know, he does all the paperwork and everything. So if anybody anywhere else wanted some, he'd figure it out.
We'd work it out.
And that's the thing. That's what we do. We just go, oh, there's something else. There's something else we got to figure out. We'll just figure it out.
Like, how hard can it be?
Yeah,
surely, you know. That's what we did when we were making gin. We're like, how hard can it be to make some gin? For goodness' sake,
it's easy. Actually,
and we figured it out, and it was fine. But
it's just selling it that's hard.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is.
But I mean, Facebook. You know, there's a shop now button on our Facebook page, Instagram. You can just find a link directly to the website there. So you know, if there's anything you need, then you just get in touch.
Love it. All right,
So
let's
this
go on
is
to
the
bang.
last one. The
Lucky
slow
last.
peach. My favourite.
I love the colour on this one.
That's beautiful.
Now you were mentioning the jammy kind of quality. This has
Yes.
probably got the most jamminess kind of flavouring to it.
Yeah, wow.
But this is a gin. So this is
a proper
this is a
gin.
proper gin.
41
in terms
points.
41.7.
41.7%.
There
Yeah.
you are.
Wow.
I mean, as has been stated here before, that the Divergence slow gin whiskey finish is one of my favourite New Zealand whiskies, and so I'm just getting that.
I tried it at the AMP
rich
show and I
vibe.
quite enjoyed that actually.
Yeah.
Just it just adds a little something different to your general whiskey that you would have, you know, like.
But what stops this from, I guess, going down from that real rich slow is I just get this light peach, and it's this light hint of peach just I want to say cuts through and stops it from getting too moreish, kind of.
Yeah.
Adds a nice fruitiness to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I love that, actually.
That is.
So we, like, obviously coming from the UK, I grew up drinking, makes it sound as if I was a drinker when I was 5, but I wasn't. But, like, as a teenager, I kind of got into drinking slow gin because it's an easy thing to come across. You know, it grows in the hedgerow. It grows wild in the UK, and you just go, and part of the autumn thing is picking slows, and that's it's kind of what you do. And so that was what I wanted to try and recreate here, and we made slow gin from dehydrated slows. We didn't rehydrate them properly and went, damn it, we thought we'd mucked it up basically, and we had this big batch of slow gin that we didn't quite know what to do with. We thought we'd really mucked it up, and then when it came to it, we got some Black Boy peaches from our neighbour's tree, and we thought, let's just chuck the peaches in and see what happens. And so we did, and then obviously we had the rigmarole with the ABV. We didn't quite know what the ABV was, so we just kept chucking more undiluted London Dry in. It was about 75% ABV, and we were just chucking it in there, trying to bring the ABV up, not really knowing what we were doing. Anyway, eventually sent it to the lab, and it came back actually much lower in ABV than we thought. We thought it was going to be something like 65%, but it wasn't. It was 40, just under 42. And we went, no, we're going to leave it like that because it actually tastes really yum. And so we left it.
Yeah, there's no way I would have thought that was 41%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Dangerously. Dangerously.
Dangerous.
I know, right?
It's a mixture of instinct and happenstance, really.
It really was, and now we have to try and recreate
That's
it.
what I was just going to say. Can you recreate this?
Well,
because
hopefully.
I just took an undisclosed slow gin from the shelf over here.
We know it's from.
And undisclosed
We all know.
Canterbury gin.
Oh, okay.
But I have to say, I like the body and complexity of yours so much. Like nicer. The peach really adds something to it.
It adds a whole another element. There's just
But again, it's going back to earlier in the conversation when we were saying is that everybody takes it different ways. You know, like much like how Curiosity does their slow gin, it's very different. And then with the guys down in Geraldine Humdinger, they do their gin completely different, and then we do our gin our slow gin, and then and that's just kind of the way it is. Is that everyone's gonna take it their own way, and that's just gonna be the way it is, and everybody enjoys it.
Do you still have this available?
No, that's literally it.
Oh, is that it?
Is it?
I think so.
Could ask your dad. We could maybe.
We might
try
be able to
source some
find
for
it
you.
in a box somewhere.
Well, yeah.
You know,
I might be keen.
Because I also might be keen, and anybody listening to this podcast, I guess, is just.
But we
plain
have
out of luck.
we've taken it off the shop a lot, a couple of times. Because we thought we run out, and then Dad kind of comes out going,
And
"Oh no,
some bottles from somewhere."
I
I found some more.
I
We're
found
like,
some
yay!
more." But we would get like a bunch of emails from people who had it at a festival, and then have emailed us going, "Please, can I have some more? It's not on the shop. It's not on the shop." And then we would email them back going, "Give me a second," and then we would go and like rummage around in the garage to see if we could find a bottle of this slow gin, and we were like, yep, cool, we've got some actually.
I think there was one time your dad put about 6 bottles up on the shop, and I think within about 10 minutes somebody had bought, like one person had bought 4 of them. And we were like, oh my god, quick, take it off. Do it.
Quick, no, don't make us sell more than we actually have. And we were just like, so it's been very popular. They've all been really popular.
They've all been
actually.
really popular.
They've all been super popular, and they've all garnered a lot of interest. So they've definitely earned their keep, I think.
Definitely.
And they're definitely going to be coming back.
Which is why they've got their own labels now.
Yeah,
Great. Yeah.
So they are.
they've got their own labels now,
Yeah.
and they're
That
going to
means
be.
they stay.
Yeah,
What a huge differentiating factor for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's so cool that you can have that. And I think if you can recreate this one, especially.
If you can recreate
Yeah.
the magic.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
on the way.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
it's soaking as
soaking
we
away.
speak. So, yeah.
So hopefully it comes together really nicely.
Yeah.
And again, we won't release it until we're happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of the way we go with a lot of our product. You know, we don't put it out unless we're happy, unless the quality's up there. So at least people know that they're getting something that has gone through a lot of Q&A.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
Well, I mean, speaking of that popularity and that quality, I hosted a gin night. There might have been about 25, 30-ish people there. We ended with the Herrick Creek 9 Fathoms, which is very polarising. So I think when I was taking feedback at the end of the night, there were only a couple of people that said that was their favourite one. But head and shoulders above the other 4 was your Verbena.
Oh,
That
nice.
came out.
Oh, yay.
Well,
Thank
hey,
you.
no, don't thank me.
No.
Thank the other,
Well,
the
no,
other
I
people.
know, yeah, but
we
you
have to
put it
thank
up
you
there.
because you put it up there, didn't you? You put it out there for people to taste, and that's, you know, we're very grateful for
And,
that.
and
Thank
well,
you.
Clearly people enjoyed it. People were receptive to it, and that is, that is really something. But for my money, if this one isn't available, I'm walking away with that spiced gin because I think that with the ginger ale that we got to try as a predominantly dark spirit whiskey drinker, I'm like, bang! No, there's a whole lot in there to fall in love with.
Yeah,
It's got a lot to offer for people who like the
does.
dark spirits.
It does.
I might fall towards the Verbena, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that, there's not a lot of tea-ish kind of options out there. That one just sort of scratches my itch for that.
It is just a bit different,
Yeah. I
you
like
know.
it.
And that's kind of what we were going for with both the Verbena and the spiced, was that we want all 3 of the gins are very different from each other.
Yes.
There's no similarities there, really. They're very different, and that was what we were going for. But on the basis that one of them would appeal to pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
And you know, we kind of tend to find that it does do that. And the fruits have just added another kind of layer to the appreciation for people. Because we use the same base gin for all of the fruits, so we use the London Dry as a base for all of them. But the fruit, because we chuck so much in there, it just lends itself to
Very much the champion of each
very
drop.
much. And we wanted it to be really clear what it was. That's definitely a raspberry gin.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely plum, blackcurrant, you know, and so on. And so, you know, we wanted it to be really very abundantly clear that was what it was. It's not wishy-washy in terms of flavour.
Just plays into our kind of ethos with
That's what we like.
approaching
We
gin
appreciate that
making.
100%, don't we? I mean,
Yeah.
The only other question I have is, what's next? Is there anything like other than we've talked about? Or
like we've got the vodka that's looking to come out at some point this year. We're working on the label and just kind of finalising it so that we're happy with it. And then, to be honest, after that we might look at maybe playing with some dark spirits again, like maybe a rum or maybe a malt spirit like we've been talking about before. Just to kind of expand and learn about those things and stuff like that. Again, because it's a learning experience, we're always learning about stuff, and you just kind of just try new things, and that's kind of why we're in it, why we're in the game. We're in to just try these things and learn and have a good time.
Diversify, really, because gin appeals to a certain cohort of people, right? And then you see the blokes that get dragged along to the gin festivals, and they're just not interested in gin. And you can see that, and you think it would be really nice to create something that they would enjoy. Hence the spice, because that wasn't aimed specifically at men who drink rum and bourbon, but it just as a happenstance was that actually that appealed to that group of people. And so we use that, and we say, and they'll say, oh, I don't want to taste anything because I'm a rum drinker or I'm a whiskey drinker. And I'll say, well, just try this, and I'll just put a little bit of ginger ale in it, and just tell me what you think. And they'll go, oh yeah, that's all right.
I love the impression.
I love one of them. And they try not to get too excited about it, but then they come back at the end and they'll buy a bottle to take home, and you'll be like, yay, go us.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell any of my mates.
My favourite one was when this big old farmer lad came up at the A&P show, tasted everything, and then walked away with everything. And I was like, fair enough. No qualms there. I wasn't complaining. You know, but like it was great because and it's gin's becoming a lot more of a thing in the wider range, because there's been a big like kind of not stigma but like a stereotype almost of it being a woman's drink. Like, it's what the woman drinks when they go out. But now it's becoming a lot more of a thing for a lot of people who are more connoisseuring or exploring what's out there a bit more, and a lot more men are opening themselves up to that sort of thing and kind of looking to enjoy something new with their drink, and that's that can only be good for everybody, so that's kind of cool.
Definitely.
So to anybody out there listening might be a customer, might be a future customer, is there anything you'd want them to know? Anything you don't know, something you have to tell everybody at every event? Is there anything you just want to let them know about you guys or your brand?
I think we are a small family-run garage distilled operation. Everything you see is made from the heart, from us. We would never try and sell anything to anyone that we don't enjoy ourselves. We sell gin that we like to drink, and that's it really. I would urge everybody to go to their local liquor shop and ask for the Racketeer, because
and if it's not there, just walk out in a huff.
Yes, exactly. And actually, we've had that with it was the Prebbleton guys, wasn't it?
But that was a friend of mine went in and she said, "Have you got the Racketeer gin?"
And exactly like that, because she's English like me. And he said, "Oh no," he says, "we haven't." She says, "Oh, all right then." And off she went, and she just turned heel and walked out. And he was like, okay. And then he literally rang us and said, "Can you bring some gin in?" He says, "I've had somebody in asking for your gin." And I'm like, "Oh, okay then. I wonder who that might be." And I texted my friend Catherine and I said, "Good job." Bottle of Verbena in it for you.
Again, like so if you enjoy our gin, if you've managed to taste it at some point, if you enjoy it and you want it in your local shop, go and tell them, because they will listen.
They do, Some of them do.
If enough of their customers tell them that they want something in the shop, they will get it, and they will put it in, and they will end up doing that, because again, customers are the king, really, aren't they? Because how are they going to make their money otherwise?
Yeah, exactly.
But again, go on our shop. We're
very easy to come by.
Yeah. We're always very excited when we get an order on our shop.
Let's just be honest, everybody. Order it directly online from the source.
For sure.
Supporting your local distilleries directly is always the best.
And we will ship, obviously, nationwide.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get to you. We ship it literally the next day usually. You'll get it very quickly after that. We enjoy making our gin, and we enjoy sharing it with people,
as we can tell.
And that's what I appreciate. I appreciate that you've come along tonight, and you've been a lot of fun being at the Midwinter Festival. Every time I looked over, and you guys were just like busy, but you're having fun. And thank you for coming along, for sharing your passion and your gin.
Again, thank you for inviting us.
This has been a lot of fun.
Hey,
good.
time.
It's always good having a chat with you guys. It's
Yeah,
it's always
no,
fun,
it is.
you know.
It's good fun. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
So
All right.
Facebook, Instagram, the website,
Yeah,
we all
Facebook,
know that.
Instagram, yeah,
We've talked about
absolutely.
that.
The Racketeer Gin
Yeah,
on the social media, and then Longshot Distillery is the website.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
and then for anyone else who wants to check out the podcast, Distil-Nation NZ at gmail.com, you can email us, or on socials, Distil-Nation NZ. And yeah, we'd love your feedback. We'll send it along to Adam and Lesley if you've got some feedback
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
And, you know, thanks for everyone for listening.
Right,
And
thank you.
yeah, thanks guys.
Thanks,
Thanks.
guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.